Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Parks and Recreation, Leisures, Activities Committee Special Meeting. September the 23rd, year 2024, 12 p.m., Charlottetown City Hall Chambers. Order of business. Item 1, call to order. Item 2, declarations of conflict of interest.
None.
None. Item 3, approval of agenda.
Yep. Just under introduction of new business, I want to introduce something, so just want to give you a heads up. Thank you.
Item 4, adoption of minutes, September the 5th, 2024.
Moved.
Business arising from the minutes?
None.
None. Okay.
Hearing none.
Pardon me?
Hearing none, I guess.
Well, this is the first time for everything, isn't there? Okay.
Mr. Chair.
We're going to the
Mr.
report.
Chair, just a point of order. Let's be respectful.
What?
Let's be respectful to each other. Okay?
Oh, what?
No, again, let's just
Was
lower the
there something
sarcasm.
said that wasn't
Yeah,
respectful?
no, just.
Was there something
respect.
said, sir?
Respect.
Oh, okay. Wasn't quite sure what you were
Yeah,
referring to.
no,
You can be
again.
specific.
Respect.
Right. Yeah, I know, it's a two-way street. Anyway.
Again, Mr. Chair,
Come on.
just respect. No,
Oh,
not come
okay,
on.
Okay. Yeah. Again, I don't know what your definition is. I really don't.
Move on.
So, moving on. Reports. 6, item A. Request to recognize former Councilor Danny Redmond with the J. Frank McCauley Park. So, just want to move along here to the report from Parks and Recreation. I believe, Christopher, you worked on this file and this request, and you worked very closely with Mrs. Danny Redmond on this request. I did have a chance to speak with her as well, and made the request a few months ago. For people that might not be aware, Danny Redmond served 4 terms as a city councilor. Very well respected city councilor. Did a fantastic job when he was here, and was known as a constituency councilor, and always put the people first. So without further ado, there's a lot to be said about Mr. Redmond, and when we have those ceremonies, that's when we'll elaborate on that. But for the time being, I'm going to turn it over to Christopher Drummond to go through his report.
Thank you, Chair. So as you listed there, a few things with regards to Danny Redmond. So just to give some history, a commemorative naming application form was received from Danny's family requesting that we look at naming the sports field within J. Frank McCauley Park after former councilor Danny Redmond. We are bringing forward a request for council or this committee first, and then to council to consider naming that sports field the Danny Redmond Memorial Field. Within the report, I listed some of Danny's committees that he had chaired while he was serving as a councilor with the city of Charlottetown. One in particular was as chair of the Parks, Recreation, and Leisure Committee from 2004 to 2006. And as chair of that committee, Danny helped to create our Volunteer of the Month program. And also, Danny was a key supporter in establishing the first artificial turf field on the UPEI campus that was located there. And Danny also was instrumental in reestablishing the Parkdale Days for that community in 2001. It was an event that took place annually within J. Frank McCauley Park. When I first started with the city, that was one of my first events that I had worked with Councillor Redmond, as well as the former mayor, J. Frank McCauley himself. And Danny was also instrumental in helping to get some long due long-standing overdue upgrades to that park, and he worked closely with our department and the former mayor of that community, J. Frank McCauley. Danny passed away in September 2019, so we bring forward this report and for the committee's consideration and council's consideration of naming this sports field after Danny Redmond.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Chris. Certainly your report gives a good synopsis of Danny's involvement as a city councilor. You talk about the Frank McCauley Park, and when you look back at his time as a city councilor, and more specifically as chair of the Parks and Recreation Committee, Danny Redmond was instrumental in the revitalization of the Frank McCauley Park. Make no mistake about it. He was instrumental. He revitalized that park. There are a number of different initiatives that he undertook to make it more user-friendly. There's probably, a list as long as your arm. The ball diamond was one of them, but there was many others. And as I said to our manager several weeks ago, my approach would be to take a very comprehensive approach to all the work that was done. And I think if you look at it today, Councillor Matart, you certainly can reap the benefits and for the foundation that he laid, and you're continuing on with his good work. That Danny was instrumental and played an indispensable role when it came to the Frank McCauley Park. But a couple of things I'd like to note, and you pointed them out, Christopher, is that, the Volunteer of the Month Award, initiated under his leadership. The second thing is the Parkdale Days. That was to my mind, that was the incentive for all the different socials that are taking place right across the city of Charlottetown. He created that incentive, and the city built on those socials, and as a result, today you see these socials all over the city of Charlottetown, and that was because of Danny Redmond's initiative that he undertook. Furthermore, you hear the words today of inclusiveness and diversity and wanting to include everyone in our community. Well, at every one of those socials that Danny held with his working committee, he had a working committee, he always included the members of the Fitzroy Center. He provided transportation, and he had all of the members from the Canadian Mental Health attend that social. And that was something that was near and dear to his heart. And that was something he took a great deal of pride in. And they were very enthusiastic to be a part of that. And that's something, I'm not sure if that continues on, Councillor Matart, but I know that Councillor Redmond initiated that. He worked at Canadian Mental Health, and he was practicing being inclusive before the word became the new normal that it is today. Danny Redmond was practicing that years ago, and that's one of his positive attributes that he made as a city councilor. I mean, this man did a lot of great things, and I think what we're doing here today recognizes his contribution in a small way, but there's many things that he was involved with and made our community a much better place to live in. I know this gentleman personally. He was a very good friend of mine. And, when he ran for city council, he took on a very formidable opponent. And, his commitment from that campaign till he finished up his time here at city council, he was very consistent. He was very predictable. He always put the people first. Always put the people first. So, Christopher, I want to personally thank you for communicating with Mrs. Redmond. I want you to know that she was very pleased with your professionalism and how helpful you were, even helping her fill out the application. That meant the world to her, because, sometimes applications can get very complex, and making sure you fill it out properly. And I want you to know that she was very appreciative of what you did for her. Floor is open.
Yeah, Councillor
Thank you.
Twill,
Oh,
I want to move the resolution that we name when I say sports field, you're saying the ball field. Move that we name the field at the J. Frank McCauley Park, the Danny Redmond Memorial Field. So I'm going to put that resolution to the floor.
To the chair, thank you.
Need a seconder?
I will, yes. I just wanted to say a few words.
But can I just speak to the resolution first? I moved it. Is that all right, Mr. Chair? Yeah. Okay, I want to address this because I knew Danny Redmond, grew up with Danny Redmond, went to school with Danny Redmond, Prince Street, Birchwood Junior High, Colonel Gray, UPEI. And the Redmond family and the Brown family go back a long way because both of our mothers shared the same life experience. And that's why today I called Wendy Redmond. And Wendy was a little surprised that we were discussing this, so I just told her, please go on to our City of Charlottetown YouTube channel. We're doing a live stream with it. And I'm hoping that, my hope today is that she gets that message out to the whole family because they would be very much appreciative that we made this effort through Councillor Tweel's effort and his wife Paula Redmond. But I also want to say that when I was first elected, Danny Redmond was first elected. We both were elected the same year in 2000, took office in 2001. And the mayor at the time, George McDonald, gave me the responsibility as chair of the Standing Committee of Parks, Recreation, Leisure. And Councillor Tweel, I think, was sitting on that committee at the time. And we did a lot of work with collaboration from Danny, and not only just Danny, but the residents of Ward 2. He did a lot for Ward 2, but he also looked at the city as part of his role. Not just a ward politician, he was a politician for the whole city. So thinking that today we're going to name a field after him or a city asset gives me honor to move that resolution because I believe that honor is very well deserved and being bestowed on someone that gave a lot to this city. So I will be definitely speaking to it again at tomorrow night's meeting. But again, hopefully we can have the members of the Redmond family here. And I'm going to extend that invite to the whole family to be here tomorrow evening to see the passage of this resolution. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to say a few words as well. I had the privilege of meeting Councillor Redmond in 2018. I always knew Danny just from the sporting community, but I had the privilege to meet with him and sit down when I was first running for city politics. And Danny spoke to me about Ward 2 and his passion and all the great and wonderful things that he had done for Ward 2 over the years that he was in that position. And he really hoped that, whoever moved forward would carry that on. And he talked to me about, all kinds of initiatives that happened, not only Ward 2, but across the city. And one of the ones was the Frank McCauley Park, J. Frank McCauley Park. And, and I can certainly see the passion that he put in. I talk to a lot of residents all the time, and they always refer back to Mr. Redmond all the time. And it's amazing the amount of people that do remember him and all the great work that he did in Ward 2. And it's a privilege for me to represent Ward 2 and go forward and, take his legacy forward. So I'm in full support of the ball diamond being named after him. I think it's a wonderful idea. I've gotten to know the family over the last number of years and, consider to be good friends with Paula. And I think this is a tremendous thing for her and her family, and I know they hope to be in attendance if everything goes forward. So, and I do, Councillor Tweel, thank you for also, moving this forward, this initiative as chair of Parks and Recreation. I know how much it means to Paula and her family, and I serve the Redmond family as well. And, it's great that we'll hopefully have everybody in attendance. So I just want to say that I'm in full support, and I really look forward to seeing this come to fruition. So thank you. Thank you, Krista, for all the work you've done as well.
Thank you. Thank you. So I guess the format is for this to advance to council tomorrow night. And then from there, we'll look at what the ceremonies will look like, Christopher, once a resolution's passed by council. Just to let everyone know, the family is awaiting our decision. Danny has a daughter that's getting married this weekend. His other daughter's home from Western Canada. She's an RCMP officer. So this is very important to them. This is very, very important to them. So I know that Mrs. Redmond initiated this recognition. I worked with Mrs. Redmond and correspondence to you, Christopher and Frank. And I think they were waiting, if I understand it correctly, they were waiting to hear what we were going to do as a committee and as a city council, and Mrs. Redmond would inform the rest of the family. So that was the arrangement that we were working under. So I'm sure that Mrs. Redmond will be reaching out to the rest of the family once the decision is made here today. So, again, Christopher, I want to reiterate how much she appreciated your efforts. And she said, Christopher said that Danny was my first chair when I first came to work at City Hall. And that meant a lot to her. So, without further ado, all in favor of the motion?
Motion still on the floor. I can, second question?
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, just again, I had no doubt that this would have overwhelming support from council because of Danny's place in our community as a student, as a worker, as a family person, as a councillor. So I had no doubt. It's, again, an honor for me to move this resolution and to see the ceremony that will take place to recognize his contribution to the city. And I know now that we have Frank and Christopher, we have a forum in place. I'm sure that we'll be looking at others that will work with you in other naming opportunities. But again, thank you to all that contributed to this, the Redmond family, and here today as council. So I call the question.
All in favor, motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Christopher, can you help me here with the next steps? Once it goes to council tomorrow night, and then council passes this tomorrow night, I would anticipate you'll be reaching out to Mrs. Redmond and then going from there to explain what the format is.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So, excuse me, the intent is to have some sort of, if everything goes through tomorrow evening, to have some sort of a maybe smaller scale ceremony this week while all of the family's home. I believe the wedding was this past weekend that happened, so they were trying to get as many people that would still be here to be a part of it. We would have some sort of a sign and do the dedication, but then next summer we just didn't have time to put together a sign. It could be later this year too, that it would be something else, but we want to make sure we do it right, but we also wanted to do something while a lot of the family was here for another special gathering. So once the meeting happens tomorrow night, we can work out details for something possibly for later this week, and then we can decide on how we're going to move forward after that with a permanent sign next to the ball field and go forward from there.
Thank you, Christopher. So if we're going to do something in the spring even more formal in terms of a celebration, a true community celebration in Danny's honor, I'd like to recommend, and Councilman Tart, I know that you would play a critical role with this. I'd like to, when we're doing the Parkdale Days, I'd like to use the same format that Danny used for that celebration, and that would mean including all of the residents in Ward 2, making sure that we have transportation for the residents of Canadian Mental Health the way Danny would want it, to include them as well. A lot of them are still there, and I know that they would welcome that opportunity for them to be a part of it. So,
It's a great opportunity and great idea, so certainly be in full support of if we do a, much broader celebration for the
much broader,
community for the community as a whole. Would be great idea. So, we'll address the family while they're here this week, the best that we can, and then we will look to do a more wholesome celebration with the community as well involved. Thank you.
yeah.
And again, Mr. Chair, I will make sure that our Office of the Mayor and Council extends that invitation to the family to be here tomorrow evening if they can for the passage of this resolution. It's just, again, recognition to Paula Redmond, her girls, and the extended family. So that'll be acted on right after this meeting. Okay?
Thank you.
We do have Christopher communicating with them, so I'd like to stay with that. Okay?
No, Mr. Chair.
No, I know.
We're going on item number 2.
Yeah, I know, but I
Thank
mean,
you.
Christopher's doing a great job there with Mrs. Redmond, so I'd like to keep those channels going. Who's taking this one? Is this yours, Christopher, as well?
This is me
The
as well.
second item is regards to a floor scrubber for the new Simmons Sports Center.
Correct. Thank you, Chair. So with regards to, excuse me, with regards to this report, we went out for RFQ for a new ride-on floor scrubber for the new Simmons Sports Center. With the size of this facility, it's something that we would need compared to where we were with the old Simmons and the current Cody Banks. So we went out to RFQ. We received 7 quotes, and the quote from A1 Vacuum Sales and Services in the amount of $16,950 plus applicable taxes is the floor scrubber that we are recommending that we go with. And as noted in the report as well too, this floor scrubber rated the highest on the rating scale that we had gone through. Myself and the arena superintendent, Mike White, had gone through. Now this price is a little bit higher than the other A1 vacuum floor scrubber that they had supplied, but it was a smaller size that we felt wouldn't meet those needs. So the Viper 850R was the recommended floor scrubber that we would like to go forward with.
Thank you for your report, Christopher. I'll entertain a mover for the resolution.
I'll
Move.
move it.
Moved by Councilor Matart, second by Mayor Brown. Floor is open for discussion. Questions called.
It's called.
All in favor? Motion carried. Want to bring something
I
up
do.
under new business?
Councillor Twill, just to follow up on the J. Frank McCauley Park, I know there's some discussions been going on with basketball, Prince Edward Island, and they're looking at that tennis court that is out there at J. Frank McCauley. And I know that this is something they have been presenting as a basketball court. This is the sort of the new designs that are going out for basketball courts, and just want to put that on the agenda for the next meeting, so that I know that they are coming to this, they come in October.
I'm not aware if the Frank McCauley, the tennis courts in Frank McCauley Park, is that?
No, just one second. I just want to clarify, that is one of the options that they're putting out there. That's what I'm.
Well, I know, but I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
why
so
we-
that would come from our staff, right?
That's why I want to put this on for the next meeting.
Well, Frank, can you give me a clarification as to where we're at with that proposal? I mean, I'm not aware of that venue being considered.
I'm not either yet.
What?
I don't believe I am.
I don't know anything about it.
Chair Twill and through to the worship, your worship. So we're assessing all the basketball pads and basketball courts in the city. We've had our staff, Jeff Perry, going to all those venues, assessing what condition they're in. Excuse me, at the request of Basketball PEI, they were wanting to come in and do a presentation earlier and haven't had the opportunity yet. They're planning to be here in October, November to do a presentation. We were trying to do some of our homework as well to look at what are some other venues if we were going to make an official size basketball court, where could we potentially put it? And we do have a couple of options that we have existing pads right now, J. Frank McCauley being one, Queen Elizabeth Park being another. And I think those were the two ones we were looking at that were in the better conditions. So it's nothing we've moved forward yet, because we'd have to have capital dollars to make upgrades to the park. But yeah, so that's just where we're at here right now. We're also looking at all the other basketball pads and basketball courts we have. What are some of the maintenance things needs to be done to them? Is there some additional infrastructure that could be added to make them in better shape? So that's where we're at right now. So no decisions have been made. We've been just doing regular maintenance, and during the capital budget process, we'll be bringing forward a recommendation.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question on that? Just,
No, it's just a notice. It's just for the next meeting, so, yeah. No decision.
With all due respect, there's nothing to discuss,
Thank you.
because we haven't been given any information.
thank
So
you.
discussing anything at this point in time would be hypothetical. Right?
So at a future meeting, we are going to be bringing forward all the assessment we've done of the basketball court and basketball pads. We were sort of leaving that timing with Basketball PEI when they came in to do the presentation. We didn't want to bring two different reports. So when they come in to do their presentation, we will have that information at the same time, so that we're not having multiple discussions on one topic.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, move for adjournment.
Move.